this happened to me. It's really crappy, and I hate that it happened to me, and I feel like crap, and I don't know how I'm going to keep going. How do you turn that around and say, this is what's happening, this is what I'm going to do about it, and this is supposed to happen? All right, what is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the Morning Takeaway, episode 9, I believe. I want to jump into this. I've been traveling like crazy. I actually got back this morning at 3:15 a.m. from Pittsburgh. It was a super fun trip. If you haven't been to Pittsburgh, you should go. But I had an interesting experience on my long travel day, flying into LA, then having to get my car and drive an hour to Newport and at 2:30 in the morning, whatever it is. And I want to start kind of this podcast and this episode off with telling a little story and getting into my takeaway from this morning when I was journaling and kind of how I loop it all together, and then get into the 2 F's, which I kind of came up with this morning, that are friction and flow. And it also alludes to what's on the board. Enjoy everything. And we'll get there. But before I get going, if you haven't already, to like, comment, and subscribe. And if there's something that you take away from this podcast, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps me way more than you know. Sharing the show, or I say show, but it's not really a show. It's a podcast. It's a conversation with you, and hopefully giving you something that you might be able to take away. So like I say, somebody one time was able to get behind a camera and say a bunch of stuff to a camera and change my life. So if somebody can do that for me, I hope that I can do the least and potentially give something to someone that they can take away from it as well. So with that being said, let's jump into the story. So fly into LA. It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm already pretty beat up, pretty tired, and preface to the shuttle that I had to take to get back to my car in the cheapest parking lot. Why not? Save the pennies. On my way to the airport, leaving LAX, the shuttle never even showed up, so I had to call an Uber to go a mile, LAX. Classic, right? Sound like I'm just being an energy sucker, not an energy giver, and being Mr. Pessimistic, but that was already kind of like strike one. So then, fast forward to last night, and I guess early this morning, waiting for the shuttle, and there is no shuttle. It says that it was coming at 1:10, and I was out there at 1:08, nothing. Fast forward, it's 1:38, and here comes the shuttle. I was ready. I was already looking for Ubers for $70, and I get in the Uber, or in the shuttle, and this poor old man, I having a great time. He's blasting his music, and I leave my luggage and kind of in the middle of the aisle, and he just kind of makes a hand signal. You know, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see me. But I literally said, Jesus Christ, and like just kind of let the emotions get the best of me. I'm beat up, and I'll be fully transparent. I was in the wrong in this situation, and this guy will never see this podcast. But it was definitely a realization that, like, hey, control your emotions, number one. But number two, like, what are you doing, dude? And to myself, not him. So he's like, oh, Jesus Christ is right. And I say, I didn't even know this shuttle existed, just kind of being a smart aleck. And he goes, oh, well, it does. And I said, yeah, well, I've been waiting outside for 35 minutes. And he said, you don't. He said, I was out here last time and you weren't out here. And had you been there, I can check the cameras. He goes, he said, you don't have to lie to live. And I kind of sat there. I kind of was smiling. I was very frustrated. I was not in any state of mind to be acting the way I was acting. And that's just being transparent with you, because these things do happen to me, to other people, to us in real life. And it's a good reality check to realize, hey, look at yourself in the mirror and control your emotions, breathe, and realize, like, hey, everybody has their own things going on. That man was driving that shuttle with the most passion and blasting his good good time music and everything, and had not a worry in the world. And then I come on there and just kind of ruin his night, right? I don't know that I ruined his night. He was still, whatever. But the point is, he looks at me and he says, you don't have to lie to live. And to be quite transparent, I wasn't lying. He hadn't been there in 38 minutes. But that's also not the point. It's not the matter if I'm right. That doesn't matter. It's the fact that one the lie to live thing, you don't have to lie to live, that was pretty good, just in the grand scheme of life. But as I sat there and drove home and reflected on the scenario and just kind of disappointed in myself and how I did not manage my emotions, breathe, and all the things that I preach, and in my opinion, do a pretty good job of living on a daily basis, I was pretty disappointed in myself. So got some sleep, came home, and I wrote in my journal this morning, as I reflected on it, to enjoy everything and be kind to everyone. Because one, that man was kind. He probably is kind to just about everybody, and it just took me to piss him off a little bit. But also, the idea of enjoying everything comes down to, if something is going great in your life, enjoy it. If something is going bad in your life, enjoy it. Because if something's going bad, that means there's an opportunity to grow. There's an opportunity to learn. And there's an opportunity to take that and use it to your advantage. So as I loop this into what I said I wanted to kind of get into with the two F's, I came up with these two F's. It's friction and flow. And in my opinion, kind of on the same idea of enjoying everything, whether that's good or bad. In my opinion, flow is good. You've all been in that state of flow where you feel like you can't stop working. You feel like you're just in that rhythm, just being super productive. The endorphins might be flowing because you're just like, yes, I'm checking these things off my to-do list. I am killing it today. That state of flow, that natural state of productivity, and you're in the zone is kind of what some people would attribute that to, is especially like as an athlete. And then there's friction. Friction is something that I've been actually journaling about quite a bit, and it's the things that, and the most simple example that I attribute it to is, I'll be like cutting up my vegetables to put in my smoothie, and I'll drop my apple on the floor, and I'll kind of sit there, and I firmly believe this is from meditation and being able to kind of come back to a center. But if it falls on the ground, okay, good. That's friction. Something just, it was supposed to happen, and being able to realize like, hey, that happened for a reason. 5-second rule by that. I picked it up and I put it in my smoothie. I will do that. But that's not the point. The point is, friction is supposed to happen. There's going to be friction in your life. There's going to be things that happen in your life that rub against each other. Opposites or magnet, like a magnet. There's going to be friction, and that's a terrible example, by the way. But the idea that there's going to create friction in your life and tension and bad things, it's how you look at it in the scope of reference from the outlook you take on life, right? And in my opinion, if you can look at friction as a good thing and say, okay, this happened to me. It's really crappy, and I hate that it happened to me, and I feel like crap, and I don't know how I'm going to keep going. How do you turn that around and say, this is what's happening, this is what I'm going to do about it, and this is supposed to happen? I think those steps, it might be in a different order. It might be creating a plan is probably in there, but the overall point of it is to enjoy everything, and with that friction and with that flow, both two states that can create growth and can create that opportunity for you to get better and to better yourself, better your life, better your habits, practices, whatever it may be. I think if we can come to terms with that and enjoy everything, there's a lot to say about where we can go as human beings, and in our relationships, in our friendships, in our day-to-day life and outlook on work, or waking up in the morning and not hitting a snooze button. I actually was also listening to a podcast that kind of relates to this topic earlier today that was basically saying if you can be kind and you can show love and have love in your life, it's kind of inevitable to be happy. Like when you are a happy person or I've talked about it before, just smile for 30 seconds and see how you feel. You're going to feel a little bit better just smiling at the air or the wall. That your body and your brain starts to give off these emotions and hormones like, hey, this is real and this is what it's supposed to feel like. And that all kind of loops back. If you can enjoy and be approachable and smile and be nice to people. So to loop this all back to the bus driver, the shuttle driver, is he was a very kind person, and that struck me. And I lost my emotions a little bit in that scenario, and it was definitely a learning lesson for me. So, and I say this, and I don't want everybody to feel sorry for me or whatever, but like that, I say that because I'm a human being. We all are. And I think it's important to reflect on our own behaviors. And that's what this takeaway is for, this podcast, the morning takeaway. It's to take things away from certain things that happen in our lives or something that may happen in my life or someone else's life that comes on the show and be able to relate it to worldly, lively, worldly things that happen in our life. And, with that said, I was able to think today to myself and think about enjoying everything. I was able to, my day was incredible. It was everything that I went through as I set my intention today to enjoy everything. I was able to remind myself of that. If it was really crappy, to enjoy it. Oh, I have to go to the grocery store. Good. Enjoy it. Enjoy the opportunity that you get to go pick up real food and take it home and eat it. There's people in the world that don't get to do that. So that's my takeaway. Before we end it, I want to jump into the random question generator, see what we got, and then we'll wrap it up. So here we go. Let's generate it. What is something that you don't mind waiting for? Ooh, something I don't mind waiting for. Wow, I'm testing my patience right now. Something I don't mind waiting for. I want to say like food, but that's terrible because I love food. You know what? Actually, no, I don't mind waiting for food because now that I'm doing this whole intermittent fasting thing, it creates opportunities for me to enjoy it and be sharp in the moment that I don't have food. And actually, if you go back to our hunter and gatherers days, like there was times that they didn't get to eat, right? They became more mentally sharp to figure out ways to eat. And I'm going down a whole rabbit hole right now, but now I don't mind waiting for my first meal because I know it's making me better. It's helping me grow. I'm drinking more water in that period. There's other things that are coming my way that also benefit my discipline or benefit my, whatever it may be. But I think that also relates into today's podcast. So thank you, random question generator, for that. But with that said, I hope you take something away. And if you did take something away, if you don't mind sharing it with somebody, a close friend, a relative, parent, whoever it may be, sibling that you think might want to hear it. I know that I have friends that send me different things that I'm listening to, and I'm like, wow, thank you so much for sending that. So that said, I hope you're doing awesome. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to smile.